savvy millionaires use the three marvels of wealth building inside a tax-free umbrella. In this episode, I'm going to address the question, how do millionaires build wealth using life insurance? Get ready. You're going to gain insights into opportunities that you never knew existed before. So I'm Doug Andrew, and I've actually helped people optimize their financial assets and minimize unnecessary taxes and prepare for a comfortable retirement for more than 4.5 decades. And they're shocked when they come and I teach them about my favorite financial instrument to allow them to have tax-free retirement income, and how you can double your money conservatively every 7 to 10 years, totally income tax free. Now, the secret to wealth accumulation isn't to make pie in the sky rates of return. It's consistently setting aside money and having it earn compound interest, and do it in a tax-free environment, and also using what we call safe, positive leverage. So I'm going to share with you the three marvels of wealth accumulation. Do you know that life insurance has helped many multimillionaires that you may know or have heard about? Walt Disney. He actually saved Disneyland. He came up with the idea, and he was able to save Disneyland at the beginning because he had money inside of a tax-free life insurance contract where he was accumulating money. Who else? J.C. Penney used life insurance to build and protect and preserve his wealth. Also, Ray Kroc, who's that? He is the founder of McDonald's, okay? He also has used life insurance to accumulate money, and he was able to use that like his own banker, like many business owners do. David Walker, who's that? He was the Comptroller General of the United States during the Bush administration, and also during the beginning of the Obama administration, when he finally resigned because in 2008, we came so close to a total financial collapse in this country. He wanted to tell the American public the truth, and they wouldn't let him. So he resigned, and he went around America speaking and teaching about how economics works and taxes and the negative impact of taxes and what have you. And he revealed, when he would speak to audiences, that his favorite vehicle was max-funded life insurance. So get ready to understand why that is so powerful and why it's used by many multimillionaires and billionaires to build and protect and continue to perpetuate wealth. So let's talk about some of the key elements of prudent investing. And this is a lot about what billionaires do and multimillionaires to build wealth. And they do it using life insurance because life insurance has all of these features that many investments or typical places where most Americans put their money do not pass what I call the laser test. So laser is an acronym that I've used for years that stands for liquid assets safely earning returns. The first most important key element of a prudent investment is liquidity. When you set aside money, it's imperative that you can access your money when you need it, maybe with an electronic funds transfer or a phone call. Too many investments are not liquid. If you access the money, it triggers a penalty from Uncle Sam, the IRS. You have to trigger and pay tax on accessing money out of a tax-deferred IRA or 401k. Sometimes money tied up in real estate is not liquid. You want to be able to access money without having to sell the asset or borrow the money or what have you, okay? Number two is safety. And I'm not just talking about safety of the institution, but safety of principle, that whenever you set aside money, if it's serious cash you do not want to jeopardize, you want to make sure that you have it in a position where you will not lose due to forces, economic forces out of your control, a terrorist attack, a recession, a pandemic. You want to make sure you have safety of your principal. But second, any year you make money, that becomes newly protected principal. People go, whoa, how do you do that? The third key element, we've got liquidity, safety. The third key element is rate of return. You want to earn a rate of return that typically has beaten inflation. You can't be rowing upstream at the rate of 1, 2, 3% interest or 3 miles an hour when the current of inflation is coming down at 5 or 6. You're going backwards. So you want to have a predictable rate of return, but they don't have to be pie in the sky rates of return if they are tax-free. That's the fourth key element of a prudent investment is the tax treatment. Tax deferred is okay, but tax free is far, far better. So when we talk about how millionaires build wealth using life insurance, you're going to learn here that life insurance passes the liquidity safety rate of return test with flying colors, and it's tax free to boot. And next, I'm going to share with you the 3 marvels of wealth accumulation and how this relates to life insurance being by far the best option for accumulating money under a tax-free umbrella. So let me share with you what I call the 3 marvels of wealth accumulation. And again, the wealthy have been using this strategy for over 100 years. I mentioned Walt Disney, Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, J.C. Penney, and also David Walker, who was the U.S. former Comptroller General for the United States of America. And one of his favorite vehicles is tax-free, max-funded insurance, what I call the laser fund. So what is it that these people know that maybe you don't know? Well, I created this cartoon being inspired by a friend of mine, Jack Tilton, years ago. And here is depicted a beaver looking at a stick. And he looks at that and says, that's breakfast. Whereas the caveman looks at the same object and says, that's firewood for warmth. Archimedes looks at the same thing and says, a lever to move the world. See, they all perceive the same thing differently. And I've discovered that millionaires and billionaires are looking at the same things you're looking at, but they perceive it differently. It's sort of like when I teach people about these marvels of wealth accumulation, and I say, you know what? Here's taxes and interest. Most people view those as negatives. Most wealthy people view paying tax and interest as a negative. You can turn that into a positive by theoretically moving the fulcrum here. And I'm shocked how many times accountants, attorneys, and financial advisors are going, what's a fulcrum? They don't even understand leverage, how to leverage. So I used to be a pilot. I owned a couple of private airplanes. And one of the things that a lot of pilots forget when they're flying is the 3 forces that have to overcome gravity or the weight of an aircraft. They especially forget the third one. So when an airplane is trying to get off the tarmac and fly, there is weight that is holding it to the ground because of gravity. And I equate that to taxes and inflation. A lot of people think, golly, those things are holding me back from accumulating wealth. Yeah, but there's 3 forces that help you overcome that. Number 1 is lift. Now, I equate lift to compound interest. So that's the first marvel of wealth accumulation, compound interest. A lot of people think they understand it, and they don't. But that's the number 1 marvel is compounding. Albert Einstein said this is the 8th wonder of the world. But it was Rothschild who said, no, tax-free compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. So when you have thrust, you can have a propeller engine, which would be like a tax-deferred IRA or 401k, financially speaking. But I like a jet engine. And that would be totally tax-free. So thrust would be a tax-favored type of savings or compounding. But what's the third marvel? It's what I call safe positive leverage. What's that? The ability to own and control assets with very little or none of your money tied up or at risk in that asset. Did you hear that? Now, I'm going to do it a different way. It's drag, and most people say, what, drag? Yeah, most people view paying interest on a mortgage as a drag. But I can assure you, someone like Donald Trump, if he was going to be buying a skyscraper, he doesn't just pull out a checkbook and pay cash. No, he asked his advisor, what's the least amount that we have to tie up of our money to gain ownership of this skyscraper? And they mortgage or finance as much as they possibly can. And every 3 or 4 years, they refinance it again and again, and they keep the equity separated. They keep it leveraged. And so the drag of paying interest and so forth is actually their benefit because they're borrowing money at a lower rate than they're earning. Many of them are earning, like I do, 8% compound interest tax-free. The mortgage, even if they borrow at 6%, is a net cost of 4% after the tax deduction. How much more is 8 than 4? It's 100% more. They're making 100% rate of return, regardless of whether the piece of real estate appreciates in value. This is how you can soar financially. So where do savvy millionaires and even billionaires keep their serious cash and continue to build wealth? Many of them use max-funded life insurance contracts. Now, what is that? This is where you put the most money into a life insurance policy that the IRS allows. You take the minimum death benefit they will let you get away with, and you fund it as fast as the IRS allows, and it turns into a tax-free cash cow. In other words, there are many people who have funded a life insurance policy with $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, and they were able to put the money in over a 5-year period under the TAMRA tax citation. I have educational videos that talk about these tax citations. Let me tell you what it does. When they reposition, let's say $1 million, they know that once that million goes into a max funded insurance policy, the cost of the insurance in the insurance policy goes down as they get older. Have you ever seen a life insurance policy that gets cheaper as you get older? You haven't seen one designed like I'm talking about here. So you're putting the money in and it qualifies as part of the death benefit. Why are we using life insurance? Because it's the only vehicle in the Internal Revenue Code that allows you to accumulate your money tax-free. Access that money tax-free, and when you die, it blossoms and transfers tax-free. So they put in $1 million. Based upon the average rates of return that I've achieved for the last 4.5 decades, their money usually doubles about every 7 to 10 years. Do the math. $1 million doubles to $2 million. And then $2 million doubles to $4 million. $4 million doubles to $8 million. We have many people who have now $8 million and it's totally tax-free. And that $8 million can generate payouts of 8 to 10% using the 3 marvels of wealth accumulation. Leverage. They borrow money for their business ventures and so forth out of their insurance policy. And they pay 5% interest to the insurance company so that their money can stay there and still earn 10. Did you hear that? In other words, if they have millions of dollars in their insurance policy, they can borrow using that as collateral and let the money still grow in the insurance policy. I've had many multi-millionaire clients who every $1 million they borrow at 5%. Some years they have earned 10, some years 16, some years like 2017, 25%. While they're using their money for other things, they are earning net rates of return of 10 and 15 and 20% on their money while they're using it for something else, because life insurance allows them to do that. To be able to borrow using their life insurance as collateral at 5%, and they keep earning 10, sometimes 15, sometimes 25% or more on the money in the insurance policy. That's the third marvel or miracle of wealth accumulation, is safe, positive leverage. So let's connect the dots here. How do millionaires and billionaires build wealth using life insurance? They understand how money really works. They are their own banker, so to speak.
So as they accumulate money inside of a tax-free umbrella, max-funded life insurance contracts, they know that by putting in the most money that the IRS allows, it turns into this cash cow and it's tax-free. So every million that they have inside of an insurance policy, if it's earning rates of return that it can earn by using indexed universal life, they, like I've been able to achieve, 6 to 10% average rates of return, even though some years I have earned 25%, even 55% using multipliers. But let's just be conservative here. 10% tax-free returns would be like earning 15% taxable rates of return. So they have money in their insurance contracts and they're earning those great tax-free rates of return. But if they ever need to access money, do they withdraw it and give up earning 10% tax-free? No. If they see a piece of real estate they want to buy or tie up with an earnest money, they simply call me and they say, hey, Doug, give me one of those forms. I want to borrow $1 million out of my life insurance policy, not withdraw it. Because if they borrow it, they are using the money. The insurance company will lend them the equivalent of the money in the policy, but they use it as collateral. So the insurance company keeps crediting them 10% or some years 25% while they're using that million because they borrow it out. What does the insurance company charge them? Maybe 5%. In 2017, I had clients borrow $1 million, let's say. Some borrowed way more than that, but $1 million at 5%, that's $50,000. But that was covered because their insurance policy earned $250,000. So they earned $250,000 minus $50,000 of interest. They netted 20% or $200,000 of tax-free growth on their money while they were using that money for their business in real estate. Is this making sense? This is how to become your own banker. So how can you learn more? If this has piqued interest, I would love to gift you a free copy of my most recent best-selling 300-page book, The Laser Fund, which is actually 2 books in one. This book here is about 200 pages, comprised of 14 chapters with all kinds of charts and graphs and explanations of how to diversify and create the foundation for a tax-free retirement. Now, if you learn more right brain with stories and examples, you flip the book over and read this one. This is about 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 chicken soup for the financial soul stories like the one I just told you. If you like to use your whole brain, I would recommend you read both books. But it's 300 pages. This has been flying off of our warehouse shelves. I'll tell you what, I will pay for the book. You go to Laser Fund, L-A-S-E-R, fund.com. It's on the screen here. And claim your free copy. You contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I'll cover the rest of that cost and I will send out a book to you. There's also options there for you to listen and learn and watch and learn. But here's to your brighter future.